Every night you do something your cat finds deeply suspicious. You lie down, you close your eyes, you stop moving, you become completely unresponsive to everything happening around you. And you stay like that for 8 hours. To you, this is sleep, the most natural thing in the world, a biological necessity you have been doing every night your entire life. But your cat does not know what sleep is. Not in the way you know what sleep is. It cannot reason that you are resting, recovering, processing memories, cycling through stages of consciousness. It has no concept of REM cycles or brain restoration or why a creature would willingly become this vulnerable for this long. What it has instead is a set of observations about something very strange that the most important creature in its world does every single night. You lie down, you go still, you breathe slowly, you make occasional sounds, sometimes you move without waking, and no matter how many times this happens, you always come back. So what does your cat actually think is happening? The answer involves some genuinely surprising science about cat cognition, animal awareness, and the strange, intimate world that exists between you and your cat in the hours when you think nobody is watching. Before we get into what cats specifically think, we need to understand something about how cats experience vulnerability in other creatures. Cats are predators, small ones but predators, and like most predators, they have a precise and instinctive understanding of what vulnerability looks like. A creature lying completely still with eyes closed is, in the most fundamental animal terms, vulnerable. It is not scanning for threats, it is not ready to flee or fight, it has lowered every defense it has. In the wild, this is when things get eaten. So the first question your cat is resolving every night is not what are you doing, it is are you safe right now? And the answer your cat arrives at is probably something like yes, but I should keep an eye on things. This is part of why so many cats position themselves near sleeping owners, not always touching, not always visible, but nearby, aware and monitoring. The sleeping human is not a threat to the cat, but a sleeping human is also not providing any protection. So the cat quietly takes over that function, without being asked, without any acknowledgement, every single night. Cats are extraordinary observers of pattern and routine. By the time you have lived with a cat for a few months, it has built a detailed picture of your daily behavioral cycle. It knows when you wake. It knows when you eat. It knows the specific sounds of your pre-sleep routine, the teeth brushing, the light switching off, the particular way you settle into bed. To your cat, your sleep is not a mystery. It is a predictable and well-documented phase of your daily pattern. What is interesting is what the cat does with that information. Research into cat behavior has found that cats often synchronize parts of their own sleep cycle with their owners. When you sleep deeply, your cat may sleep nearby. When you are in lighter sleep and moving more, your cat may become more active. This is not accidental. It is a form of social attunement that cats, despite their reputation for indifference, are genuinely capable of. Your cat has learned your sleep rhythms well enough to adjust its own behavior around them. Not because it understands sleep as a concept, but because it understands you as a pattern, and your sleep is one of the most reliable and consistent parts of that pattern. Here is where it gets genuinely interesting. Cats do not experience you the way you experience yourself. You know you are a person with a history, a job, a personality, an inner life. Your cat knows none of that. What your cat knows is a set of observable facts about a creature it has spent enormous amounts of time studying. You are large, you control the food, you are unpredictable in your moods but broadly safe and familiar. You make sounds that carry emotional information the cat has learned to read. You leave and return on a pattern the cat has mostly mapped. And every night you enter this strange, suspended state. Some researchers believe that cats may perceive sleeping humans in a way that has some overlap with how cats perceive injured or ill members of their own species. Not that your cat thinks you are sick, but the behavioral profile of a sleeping human, still, quiet, unresponsive, has some similarities to a cat that is conserving energy after injury or stress. This may be part of why cats sometimes groom sleeping owners. Licking a still, quiet companion is something cats do for injured or vulnerable cats they have a bond with. It is a form of care that emerges from deep social instinct. When your cat grooms you while you sleep, it may not know what sleep is. But it knows you are still, and it knows what to do for a still companion. There is a specific behavior that many cat owners report but rarely stop to think about. The cat that sits and watches you sleep. Not sleeping itself, not moving, just watching. This looks from a human perspective slightly unnerving, but from a cat behavioral perspective it is something quite different. Cats in social groups take turns monitoring their environment while others rest. It is a cooperative safety behavior. One animal stays alert while others are vulnerable. When your cat watches you sleep, it may be performing the closest equivalent it knows to keeping watch. You are vulnerable, the environment needs monitoring, the cat is awake and capable. The logic is straightforward even if the cat has never consciously formulated it. Research on cat behavior has found that cats are more vigilant in their owners' homes at night than during the day. Their activity patterns shift, they patrol more, they monitor exits and entrances more carefully. The presence of a sleeping, vulnerable human appears to activate a heightened alertness in many cats. You thought you were just sleeping. Your cat thought it was working the night shift. Here is something that changes how you might think about everything so far. Cats sleep roughly 12 to 16 hours a day. They are extraordinarily experienced sleepers. They are perhaps the most sophisticated sleepers of any domestic animal. Which means your cat is not confused by sleep in general. It understands sleep perfectly well from the inside. What it may be confused by is the specifics of human sleep. Humans sleep in one long consolidated block. Most cats sleep in many shorter bursts spread throughout the day. Human sleep, 8 unbroken hours, might seem from a cat's perspective like an unusually deep and unusually long version of what it does 20 times a day. And then there is the dreaming. Cats dream? Research has shown that cats experience REM sleep and show physical signs of dreaming, twitching paws, rapid eye movement, occasional vocalizations. They know from the inside what it is to be somewhere else while the body stays still. When you talk in your sleep, move suddenly, or make sounds without waking, your cat may be processing this through its own experience of what that state feels like from inside. It cannot know what you are dreaming, but it may have some version of an understanding that the body and the mind can be in different places at the same time. And that understanding, however imperfect, might be closer to what sleep really is than anything a definition could capture. We share our beds, our rooms, and our nights with cats in a way that we rarely stop to examine. Every evening, 2 completely different kinds of minds enter the same space, follow the same rhythms, and spend hours in a proximity that is built entirely on trust. Your cat did not have to stay, it chose this room, it chose this proximity, it chose to spend the hours when you are most vulnerable nearby rather than elsewhere in the house. That choice was not made because it understands sleep. It was not made through reasoning or philosophy or any conscious decision that you could recognize as such. It was made through something older and simpler. You are safe, you are familiar, this is where the cat belongs when the world goes quiet. You may never fully know what your cat thinks is happening when you sleep. It may be keeping watch. It may be performing a version of care for a still companion. It may simply be following a pattern it has built around you so completely that sleep beside you has become the most natural thing in its world. But here is what the behavior tells us, clearly and consistently across every cat and every sleeping owner who has ever been watched in the dark. Your cat does not leave. It stays close, it monitors, it waits. And when you open your eyes in the morning, it is still there. Maybe that is the only answer that actually matters.